whether it's someone that wants to lose weight or perform better or heal from something, as well as pre- and postnatal nutrition. That's another huge avenue that my office fulfills. So regardless of what topic we're talking about, it's always about getting the tissue and to the healthiest it possibly can be, so our hormones are signaling properly, and then that allows us to do whatever we want. So whether you are the prenatal person, whether you're the person who's looking at it from a sports perspective, whether you're someone that has some autoimmune or inflammatory issues that you need to correct. So anywhere on the spectrum, it really is starting at the same spot. When we were talking about this topic, I know last year we did something a little more that was trying to fine-tune how someone was going to burn fat the best. And maybe before that we did just sort of basic health 101 nutritional care. So we're trying to get more and more specific, I think, every time we meet, so that if you've been here before, there's something new for you to take away. If you haven't been here, there's something you can still work on right away. And what we are finding through new research all the time is really how individual and specific each of our bodies really are, which is why the blanket diet just misses so many people, right? And I'll go over some sort of big things that you can do that will help just about everybody, as well as some big things that people do that don't help anybody, and also explain why some of it's so specific. And I'm sure we've all had the experience of working out with somebody or being friends with somebody, they lose weight, they get in shape, you say, you know what, whatever it is they're doing, I'm going to do it. You follow their directions to the T and nothing happens. And you're like, I'm eating the same way, I'm doing the same exercise, I go running with them, I don't know what's going on here, right? You're a different body, right? And another big place to look that I think always gives a phenomenal example is the marathon. You have people that train for the marathon, which is obviously a very far way to run, right? And you'll have some people that hit the marathon and they're lean and mean and ripped, and you're like, obviously they've been running a lot. And then you have those middle group people that you're like, yeah, I mean, they look pretty fit, but I expect that. And then you have the group that you think doesn't look fit at all, and they still make it the whole marathon, right? Has anybody seen the back half of the marathon, right? There's a lot of folks running there who clearly they've built up their endurance and their stamina and their strength, and they're gonna run the 26.2 miles, but they kind of look like they just got off the couch, right? And half the time as a bystander, you're like, I look like I'm in better shape, but I don't think I can run this race. And that person's running it, and they look terrible, right? So it's a whole range, and you're thinking, how is that possible? How did they train to run 26.2 miles? They were out here every Saturday and Sunday doing long runs. They were running a couple times during the week. How is it possible that they just didn't get skinny by default, right? And some of those people even gain weight, and they come out of it and they say, this was the worst experience of my life. I tried to sign up, well, not for the run, but they say, some of those people sign up with the sole purpose of losing weight. And they say, this is going to get me motivated, I'm going to meet some people, I'm going to do this big run, and obviously this is finally going to be my ticket to shedding some pounds. And then they come out of it and they say, well, I met some friends, and I really liked running, and I did the race, and it was fun, but I'm heavier. Right? That didn't work at all. Like, what possibly happened? Right? So the big thing for the longest time, and I still hear it out there even though it totally just curls my hair, is calories in, calories out. Right? Who's heard calories in, calories out? Okay, what does that mean?
It's a numbers game, that if you burn more calories than you take in, you'll lose weight.
And it's so mathematically simple, right? So why doesn't it work? Right?
Not all calories are the same.
Sorta. Sure.
Everybody's different.
Yes. In what ways?
Metabolism.
Okay.
Process those calories.
How you process them?
Hormonal responses.
Hormones. Good. Right? When we all walk up to the table, we're all just a total different makeup. Right? If it's the only problem you have is that you overeat. You're in good health. Your hormones are in good balance. Your insulin and your glucose are sensitized. They work properly. And the only issue is that you insist on eating 16 plates of food and 2 jugs of ice cream every night, and then you go lay on the couch. If you simply just eat better and move a little more, you're going to lose some weight. Right? That's about the only person that succeeds at calories in, calories out. That's about it. Okay? Everything has to be healthy and functioning within you, so that the only issue on the table is that you overindulged in calories and didn't burn any. Right? But most people don't have that issue. That's certainly not who comes into my office. Right? Why would you come in and say, everything is great, I just like to eat way too much food? Okay, well, don't do that. Okay, I won't. I mean, that's fine. You can pay me for that, but that's silly. Right? Well, who comes in my office are the people that say, they've tried all that. I counted all my calories and I lined them all up, and I have my fitness pal and my fitness jerk and my fitness everything, and I add it all up and I total it out, and I'm in the store and I zap things with my phone, and it's not working. Right? They tried the calories in, calories out. It didn't work for them because that's not what was going on. Some of the people that come in have such itemized lists. It's excruciating for me to read, to think that this is how someone spends their day. Right? Marking down, I have 2 over here and 1 over there, and so many grams of this and 1 gram of this and so many grams of this. There's some big picture things that are good to learn, but people live in these little dots, and it's not working. Or they lose a pound, and oh hooray, and Susie has a birthday and have half a piece of cake, and then it's back. Right? And so obviously that wasn't really it. So that is not what we're talking about. That just is not the picture, right? We just don't function that way. Instead, you really have to look at bioindividuality, which is you and everything that makes up you. What's your body type? What is your metabolism, right? What is your fat mass doing? What's your lean mass doing? What are your hormones doing? What happens when you eat something? What happens when you don't, right? Genetics are like this much of it. They matter, but they matter a teeny bit. So when people say, well, I would do this, but my family or my genetics, that's kind of a cop-out. They don't always know it, because I think people were led to believe for a long time that genetics were the stamp, right? But now we know, no. They do have a little bit of information to give you. It's important to know, but by all means, we can influence and change what happens. Knowing your genetic outline is good because it's going to help you take a different approach, right? If historically everybody in your family is obese and suffers from obesity and diabetes, then it pretty much tells you, listen, if you do nothing to take care of yourself, that's probably what's going to happen to you. Right? That's the genetic path that sort of goes your way. So if you don't care for yourself and you don't learn how to be healthy, this is probably the fallout. You instead may have genetics that you're slender, but you have incredible cardiac risk. Right? So you say, okay, if I do nothing healthy for myself, I still look okay and I look kind of fit, but actually I'm, really in a whole heart healthy risk problem. So the genetics are kind of good to say, do nothing and end up over here. Do nothing healthy for yourself, and this is probably where you're going. Or choose otherwise. It's like you choose your own adventure books, right? You can choose this direction, or would you like something else, perhaps? Okay? So that's important to know, that genetics are just a little piece of the puzzle, and you can influence them. There's an entire field of study that's just booming right now all throughout science called epigenetics, and that is all about how we turn genes on and quiet genes down and influence different things. So yes, what you were sort of born with matters a teeny bit, but you have to know that you have a lot of sway and a lot of ways to move things around. Right? And most of that dynamic is understanding what makes us up and then knowing what's going to move things around. Okay? So biome is the other thing that's specific to you, your biome, which is all the bacteria that live on you and in you and make up you. And I'm sure someone's heard the study that's coming out where they have transferred, they've done fecal transplants. Right? Has anybody heard of the fecal transplant study? Who has not? Okay. So it is just what it says. They have moved fecal matter, poop, from one animal model to another to see what happens, right? And that the outcome is pretty interesting. What they're finding is that we have different counts of bacteria in our gut, different, probiotics and different sort of levels of things like that. And some of them help you to stay lean. So if you have a higher count of those bacteria in your gut, you going to McDonald's and your friend who has the other type are going to walk out with a different experience. You're going to easily stay lean, having a poor diet, doing whatever else, and the other person is going to easily gain fat mass and struggle. And if they transfer the fecal matter that contains all of these bacteria, and you take from the skinny person that bacteria and put it in the obese model, that one becomes lean. And if you swap them, the other one gains weight. Right? So you have to realize that what we're made of inside and out has a lot to do with everything. It is not just calories in, calories out. Right? It gets more specific and more specific and more specific the more that we look into it. So you have to know these pieces of the puzzle. Not that you're going to, find your skinny friend and be like, hey, we're going to do a little swapperoo. But I was thinking that, that there's that phrase, and I'm sorry for the vulgarity as I'm lecturing, but eat shit and die. And I kept thinking it should be like, eat shit and diet. But, this is all those little science that comes out to things. So down the line, do you think we might be able to buy these capsules from somebody? Possibly, right? You might get a prescription for someone's lean-forming bacteria that you'll be taking, and that's what it'll be derived from. It'll be washed and cleaned and processed, but that's where it's going to be derived from, right? In the meantime, you can do something to help yourself grow those good bacteria. And that is loads of greens, loads of veggies, very clean meats, all the stuff that we talk about that's good for you. That's part of the reason why it's good for you, not just because it has a lower caloric and all this other stuff. It actually fosters an environment in the gut to grow the bacteria that help you maintain leanness and reduce obesity and reduce the chance of diabetes and all this other stuff. So it's not just that you're taking in lower calorie foods, it's that you're actually changing your entire internal environment. Okay? So let's say you're on this path and you say, I think I've tried everything and I just cannot change my physique the way I want. I'm in the gym and I'm working hard. I'm in the grocery store and I think I'm buying good foods. Which, by the way, everybody that comes in to see me says, I have a pretty good diet. Which is my favorite line. There's a little thing on the history that says, how's your diet? People always write, pretty good. Great. And sometimes it is. Sometimes people have an excruciatingly painfully good diet, but if they don't know what's going on, it's still not helping. Most often, it's not so great, and so I laugh because I don't know why I have the question there anymore. It doesn't really help me, but it's just sort of funny. But those are all the things we want to be lining up. So when we're saying, what should we be doing, you have to think of, well, who am I on this path, and what are all the factors I could influence? We'll take person A, who's relatively healthy, wants to change their physique. What do? Right? This person needs to improve the quality of their workouts. This person should no longer be doing 2 hours on the elliptical every night. Who's ever done that in their life? Or maybe not 2 hours, but the elliptical extensively every night? Anybody? Right?
I've done triathlons where I do a lot of...
Tons of cardio, right? That's inefficient. Now, if you want to run really far and you want to be someone that runs marathons and endurance things, yeah, you got to put a lot of cardio in because that's your goal. Your goal is to be a long distance whatever. That's a colossal waste of time, right? Certainly when patients come in and tell me, I do the elliptical for an hour every night. I do this for an hour every night. I just don't know how they deal with the boredom, right? Of all the things you could be doing, you still manage to gut it out in that thing, for an hour or more sometimes, right? It's just really, really inefficient. It's supposed to be easy because they built those machines to be easier on the joints, easier on the body. If you're coming out of surgery, great, you're still moving. But it's so easy on the joints that you're not really making the system work. You're not burning calories and building muscle like you want to be. How often, Costa, do you tell people, I want you to come in every day and do an hour on the elliptical and then go home? Never. Right? You go out of business. Everybody's like, I'm bored and I haven't done anything different. Right? So it's very, very inefficient. You want to warm up on it, cool off on it, great, whatever else. Just want to get the blood moving, fine. It doesn't do anything else. Okay? So you have to have smarter fitness. We need interval training where your pulse goes up and then you drop, and then you go up and then you drop. Right? That could be something like running sprints and then stopping, doing some mountain climbers, then stopping. All kinds of different things go in this range, but the interval is where you go up fast and then you take this drop. Right? That burns more calories in the body and really gets the metabolism going, and it burns more fat later on in the day. While you're showered and back at work and doing your own thing, you're still burning in this recovery zone. Interval is excellent. Right? Weights and resistance work. Right? Not the soup can, right? The old, we should do soup can for toning, right? Remember that? Right? You could do that forever and ever and ever. You're never getting toned, right? Especially to the women. Women need to do weights. So if you haven't heard it from anybody else, I want you to hear it 1,000 times from me. Women need to do weights. We have to do heavier work, not just, the women balance while the men lift weights. Right? And I'm sure you've all been to gyms like I have over the years where the weight section is the guys and the women are all in the cardio stuff. Right? So more and more, I will say that any gym I walk into now, it's gotten mixed up, and I see women in the weights using free weights, using dumbbells, not looking too, foofy, right? Just working out. And I see men in the cardio over there not realizing like it used to be the old girls' corner, right? So it is nice that it's sort of merging a little bit. But that was an old thing that just is it makes it so much harder for women to do these gentle workouts and expect big results. But we need to do the weight, so you have to have smarter workouts, right? If you don't know what you're doing, then yes, you go someplace so you can say, listen, here are my goals. You, please, fitness professional, tell me, how do I do? How do I get there? Right? I've run around the block 1,000 times, I've done the soup can thing, and I've done planks. Okay, what's next? Right? This is where someone else comes in and makes it work out for you and guides you through it. Because there are better things you could be doing, and you could be doing far more efficient things to change your body. Right? Now, from the nutritional standpoint, if you're that healthy person and you make some fitness changes, you're going to see some results. And then you're going to say, okay, I've made some results, what next? Then we say, listen, we got to change diet as well, right? The cheap, starchy carbohydrates, they're the number one thing that have to go. When people say, what's the best diet to follow? You know, I hedge to sort of give an outline, but I would say something in the paleo range is really the best overall. I don't need anybody to be neurotic about it or anything else, but what the paleo diet does from the outset is it cuts out all the grains and starches, which cause most of the diseases of Western civilization. Right? When we talk diabetes, when we talk high blood pressure, anything that's cardio risky, when we lean towards diabetes, high blood pressure, that's all from the starchy carb range. Right? The number one way to drop your high cholesterol levels is to ditch the carbs, not fat. Fat does not make high cholesterol. Right? I know it was a zillion-dollar lie that was fed to us all, but that's not what it does. Okay, so if people say, you know what, I have high cholesterol, it's familial, it's genetic, great, you can still influence it. You can still change that. Right? You still have a lot of power over that. So we're taking this healthy person, they change their workouts, they have smarter workouts. We tell them, listen, I want you to eat a little bit more paleo-like. Get the grains out, double, triple up on your vegetables, make sure that the meats you're choosing are clean, and by that we say as hormone-free, as organic, as farm-raised and wandering and pasteurized as you possibly can go. Right? Do a lot of that. Get good fats in. Definitely eat fat. I want oils in there, whether it's olive oil, avocado oil. I want you eating nuts. I want you eating oily fishes. Right? Do that. And just do that. And for most of those people that are in good health, they'll start to see changes. That's really all they need to do. Right? That's, again, coming from that healthy outset. Right? Now let's say we're not that person. We have someone that says, I did that. I have a really, really smart fitness plan. I absolutely changed my diet. Nothing's happening. Right? Then that's where we say, listen, that's because you need your blueprint. We don't know who you are. You're not the basic healthy person because you would have zipped along and made changes, and instead you're stalling and you're stuck. So what's going on? This is where labs come in. Right? This is where blood tests come in. We want to know, is there a thyroid issue? A thyroid issue is going to stall weight loss. It's going to make it easy to gain weight. You might be fatigued. Right? Hypothyroids are everywhere lately because of how we live today. Far more prevalent than probably was 40 years ago. Our foods are bad, our environment is bad, we don't sleep enough, and we live in a high-stress world. All of that trashes your thyroid. Right? There's a huge range of people that have thyroid issues that will show up on the lab that may not need medication. Just because you pop up abnormal doesn't mean you automatically need medication. Some of those folks just need better health, and as their health comes into range, their thyroid normalizes and it's okay. Right? Your thyroid is one of your most sensitive glands. So it's trying to react to the world around it and help you, but you know, if we just cause damage all the time, down it goes. Okay, so it's one of the first things that we'll see be influenced. So that's one thing. Are you iron deficient? Iron deficiency will make people exhausted, but we never want to guess. Because if you have iron that is way too low, you'll be super fatigued, it'll be hard to work out. You agree with me? If you have high iron, you'll have the same symptoms. Right? So just because you feel tired, I know for a long time, anybody who went to work out, if they got tired, they would start taking iron. Don't ever do that. Make sure you have a lab test first, because if you have high iron and you take iron, you can cause organ damage. So fatigue does not equal iron, it equals go getting an iron test. Okay? Those two things, for sure, as well as there's a smattering of other things. You can have high inflammation. You could have something going wrong in the gut. You can have bacteria that's off, not enough to be a disease, not enough to be a disorder, but enough to just sway how well your body is functioning. Okay, so that's one avenue you can look at. We can look at tissue nutrients and see what are your level of nutrients in the body. What's going on? Do you have enough B12? Do you have enough B vitamins? What are your amino acids like? Do you have enough glutamine, which glutamine is used both for the small intestine and to build muscles? Right? What's going on? Because if you're coming in at a 0 on all these things and all you're doing is pushing it in the gym, you're just going to feel worse. Right? Then you're going to feel bad and go home and cry a lot, and it's just going to turn into a mess. Right? So, because this is what happens. So you want to find out, like, what is it? What's going on? If you don't feel well, it's probably not surely your effort. Right? People know. They know if they're putting in good effort or not. There's plenty of people that come into my office and say, I can't really change anything, but by the way, I haven't done anything you've mentioned. It's like, okay, thanks for being honest. But at least, then I know, your honesty lets me know that we don't need to do more testing, we just need to give you more time. Or find out, how do we get the ticket for you? What's going to encourage you to help yourself? What do you need to do? Right? Sometimes life just gets in the way and people say, you know what, we had a graduation and then this and then people were sick and then I haven't done anything. Okay, okay, fine. So let's just get back and start again. Right? Other times people say, listen, I did everything, absolutely everything. Right? They say, great, let's look at the next layer. What's missing? What's next? Right? So you do need to know, who are you on this little spectrum? Are you someone that gains easily? Are you someone that can gain or lose? Are you someone that's tired all the time? Right? Are you someone that has all kinds of gut issues? Would you say, yeah, I never have a normal bowel movement. I'm either kind of leaning towards diarrhea, or I'm always super duper constipated, or I'm all over and I'm always bloated. Right? All those little missteps of health, they will all throw metabolism off, because now your body's trying to constantly compensate and fix and attend to other issues that sheer weight loss is just last on the body's need. Okay? The other thing too to remember is that when all these things are askew, when we're under high stress, when we're eating poorly, right? We live in this world of insulin resistance, which is really where I see most people living today. Insulin resistance has sort of been talked about, I think, out there by media and by sort of random health media as the step before diabetes, which is true, but they also kind of make it sound like you have no control over it, it happens to you just like getting struck by lightning, and then down you go, diabetes, right? And instead, it's really about a decade, if not longer, ahead. Right? First, you're not in the greatest of health, and then maybe life gets away from you, and you don't sleep enough, and you just don't eat that great anymore, and you're kind of out of shape, and then time goes on, and boy, it seems a lot harder to lose that weight. It used to be pretty easy for you, and now it's getting harder and harder. So what's the number one thing we like to chalk that up to? Age. I'm whatever age. And I hear all kinds of names, or all kinds of ages. Oh, I'm 52, I'm 26, I'm 71. It's like, you know, I wish I could tape all the ages I hear to just sort of show, like, it's ludicrous. You're all noticing the same thing, and you're all noticing the same problem, but age is not the issue, right? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't even want to play with that so badly. But age is not the issue. The issue is just where you're noticing this insulin resistance. Your body's not responding to your efforts like it was before. Right? It doesn't really have to be a factor of age. I'm sure you've all seen the triathletes running around at age 80, the big swimmers that are out there, right? You maintain health and fitness, you can do things for whenever you want to do them. Age is not the limiting factor, right? But insulin resistance will sort of creep up. And then the problem here is that now, when you store fat, when you eat anything, insulin's going to redirect a higher percentage of what you're eating to be stored as fat. Okay, so whatever you ate came in, and let's say it used to be 20% stored as fat, 80% to muscle to be used for right now. Over the years, as you become more insulin resistant, now when food comes in, for a while it's 50-50. Half you burn, half gets sent and gets stored as fat. The worse it gets as time goes by, it could be 20% going for energy and 80% going straight to fat. Now, not only are you making more fat more easily, and you're having this like faster gain, but hormones lock it down. So you just exercising more, you don't use it. You will actually burn muscle first and lose muscle tissue, and your body will save that fat. Right? So it's a tough spot to be in. It's definitely not something that you can just reverse by saying, oh, I'm just going to add on, another 10 minutes on the treadmill. I'm just going to eat celery for one more snack. If you do nothing, will you end up diabetic? Probably. Right? So goes the way of how things are in Western civilization right now. Okay, so if you do nothing, now will it be tomorrow? Will it be in 5 years? Will it be in 20 years? Who knows? But that's really the path that it takes. You become insulin resistant and everything tries too hard, and eventually the system craps out. Okay? So when we want to change that, you have to change everything, and you have to have a longer view. Person A who was healthy, right, we made some dietary changes, we made some smarter fitness choices, and in 0 to 3 months, they should see some pretty serious body composition changes. They should be leaner, they should be stronger, it should be apparent. Okay? The next group that I mentioned, who maybe has thyroid issues, insulin resistance, they have a health cleanup to go on first, and then they can make these body composition changes. So it could be 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months. Right? What's important is if that's you, the goal is still totally attainable, but you have to have a patient view for the longer haul. You are not a healthy being walking in, making a quick switch. Right? Places that promise quick things are lying. Right? The big dietary plans will work sometimes one time, maybe twice. After that, they don't work. Who knows someone that's lost a lot of weight on, let's say, Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, some sort of big nationwide known thing? Right? And who's seen them gain it back? right? What happens there is that then they try to do it a second time, it doesn't work as well. And they'll come in and say, I guess I'm just not doing as good of a job, because the diet plan blames the person, right? Well, you were a really good dieter last time. This time, it's just not enough. I think I'm doing the exact same thing. I think I'm following the exact same diet plan. Last time the pounds just dropped. This time nothing. I'm just not very good at it, right? And they take all this personal blame. When really what happened the first time, all those plans are the same. I don't care how they write it up with points and bonuses and chips or whatever they want to call it, right? The big thing with a nationwide gigantic plan is it's too low in calories. So if it's the first time you ever do it and you suddenly starve yourself, you will lose weight. You will lose muscle and fat, and you will program your body that a disaster is happening, right? All the chemicals, all of our body, all hormones are all talking to each other saying, we're losing weight like crazy because we're not eating enough, and this is bad. Send cortisol, warn insulin, this is bad news. And then when you start eating again and you say, oh, I lost to my goal weight, this is great, I can relax and have a few snacks, then your body's like, oh, thank goodness, the food is back, send it all to fat, because we don't know when this bad time is going to happen again. And this person has a rapid regain of weight, the yo-yo diet, but this time, even if they went to the exact poundage they were before, they are a more percentage of fat. So they may have gone to the same number on the scale, but now they're more fat than they were the first time, which is why yo-yo dieting is so damaging over time. Up and down and up and down, you are messing up the hormones back and forth, none of it's actually healthy ever, and you're becoming more fat and a higher percentage of fat, and you're locking it down under this insulin hormone lock, right? It's just getting worse and worse and worse. Can it be undone? Yes, it can, but sure, you're making the job harder each and every time. Why not just lose it right the first time and get healthy, and then never do it again? That would be way more fun, right? Which is why you want to make sure that you know, well, how are you coming in at? Right? If you're following a plan where you are hungry all the time, right? Not a good plan, bad plan. Right? When we change and we make healthy diet choices, we're changing the diet, we're moving it around, but you shouldn't actually be walking around famished, right? Just trying to pull yourself through the day. Certainly not filling yourself up on 0 calorie, this, that, and the other thing, trying to just stave yourself over, right? We want actual loads of good food coming in. When we're trying to change the conversation within the body, we want loads of vegetables coming in, which is why that paleo diet-ish is sort of the best outline. Right? If you're looking at your plate, a quarter of it is going to be some high quality meat, fish, something, and the rest of it is going to be vegetables. One of the main errors people will make is that they'll take the starch out. Okay, I'm not going to do the pasta, and then they eat what's left. Right? So they have like the meatball and like the piece of basil. They're like, oh, I'm so hungry, I can't do this either. This is so hard. I'm starving. I'm doing this paleo thing. I'm starving. Right? Well, you forgot to like add the part back in. And if you're used to having a sprig of broccoli next to your potato, it needs to be like a bushel, right? People that are eating in a better way, they're eating loads of food. A huge thing of broccoli, a huge thing of maybe, roasted peppers of some sort. You could have butternut squash from here to tomorrow, right? It's all loaded on top of a sweet potato, and you had some steak or chicken, right? You should have loads of food. But the majority of that food coming in is vegetable in nature. It's changing that inner biome, so we're getting ourselves the good bacteria. We're grooming our inner bacteria, right? You feel full and satiated. You're like, oh, that was delicious, and I actually feel like I ate a lot. I feel good, right? Within a week or two, most people will say, oh, I feel less bloated and my skin looks better. That usually happens in 2 weeks, right? Maybe not entire body composition, but they're already noticing, when I do this, something is better already, right? People will tell you, oh, your skin looks more vibrant. What are you doing? You're like, I don't know, just eating differently, right? That's one of the first changes that we'll see. So that's how we want to start, is some of these big, big, big changes overall, and then if you need the help, you get the extra labs to sort of find out what's going on. Okay? It should be efficient, it should be easier, it should make your life simpler. Right? It should be harder to do the things where you diet and diet and diet and count points and count levels and then spend 2 hours on the elliptical. That should be way harder. Right? When you make healthy changes, people should walk away saying, I think I have more time to my day. And I think I actually like what I'm eating. And I think I'm not hungry all day. I'm also not having stomach pains after I eat. Somehow I made my life simpler, and yet it's what I'm supposed to be doing. Right? That's what's supposed to be happening. So as we head this way, that's what we're looking for. And again, when I'm talking more of the blueprint, you always have to realize who you are first. And if you don't know, then you need some labs. Right? You need some stuff to check to find out, where am I on this spectrum? Am I the tired person? Am I the relatively healthy person? Have I tried stuff and it's not working before? Do things mostly work? I just need to pay attention. Where are you on that scale? Okay, we measure it out. And then what are your goals? You may have the goal of running the marathon, or you may have the goal of just saying, I just want to feel a little healthier. I'm starting to get an afternoon crash. I'm starting to bottom out in the evening. I'm getting grumpy during lunchtime. I just don't like that, right? Or I'm the last guy in the gym. Everybody else can do a couple more sets and I'm petering out. I don't want to be that person anymore. Why can't I get stronger? Right? I want to be the stronger person. All of that's attainable if you just know what your goal is and where on the starting line are you. We are not all starting at the same line with the same goal in mind. Right? I'm sure everybody in this room has their own goal. How many of you would like to be stronger? Who wants to be leaner? Who's actually trying to put on some weight and bulk up? Not so much this room? All right. Who has, a certain outfit in mind that they'd like to wear? Whatever it may be, right? So everyone has their own little goal of where they're going, which is fine, right? But you need to know where are you starting from. It's one thing, like I just saw the ballerinas went when I was in the hallway, like all the 12 or 13-year-old ballerinas went. At this point, they pretty much all look the same, right? They've got their little like tights and leotards, so they're all wearing it, but they're like all about the same body size and shape as well. Like they kind of look the same, right? But that's not who we are coming in off the street when we do stuff anymore, right? We've all started out somewhere different. We have different health histories. We have different things we've done or not done. So you have to know who are you at the beginning and to where you're going to end up. When you have a workout partner or someone else that helps you out, I do definitely sometimes tell people, make a nutrition partner. If it's someone that has a relatively similar lifestyle as you do right now, I know people will meet up and they will crock pot a bunch of meals, right? And they hang out and they have dinner and they drink wine and they cook meals for the week. My crock pot has something, that I'm going to divide into threes, you have something divided into threes, we're all going to leave with like 6 or 7 meals for lunch and dinners and we're good to go, right? You can do that. You can have a little chopping party. We find out statistically, just out of our own human behavior, if you buy produce, go home and chop it before you put it in the fridge, you're mostly going to eat it, right? The green pepper next to the chopped green pepper is whether or not you're going to use it, which is silly because everyone's like, it's not that hard to cut. I could cut that thing up. Yes, you could. But guess what? If you already cut it up, you're absolutely going to use it. I'm going to saute this. I'm going to throw this in the soup. I'm going to nibble on it. And the whole one just sits there like, there's so much work to be done here. Right? And I know it's silly, but you've all done it. You've all gone into the fridge and thrown out all kinds of rotten stuff. You're like, why didn't I eat this? Right? That helps a lot. If you go in, if you menu plan a little bit, it does not have to be every meal of the week. But you're right, if you go in and you say, we're going to make this, and this tonight, and then carry that for lunch tomorrow. I'm going to make this other dish. And then you go in and you buy the groceries for those dishes. You're right. You go through and you chop those vegetables because it's going in that dish. You already have a home for it. Not just shopping like, I like carrots. Jalapenos. Sometimes I like those. I'll buy those. Right? Because those are the things that are absolutely going to mold and go downhill. Right? I do love the green smoothie in the morning, which is a nice way to start the day, getting a ton of vegetables in. And any little vegetable that's trying to call it quits, it can go in. Right, so you put baby spinach in, baby kale, whatever it is that you like, and then you shop the fridge for who looks like they're trying to jump off the shelf, right? And you're like, you go in, you looks good, trim off the edge, you go in, right? And you sort of clean up the fridge that way. So that's also pretty helpful, right? And then you just put enough fruit in a green smoothie to make it palatable. The fruit smoothie is really just a load of sugar. I know it's fruit's great, it has nutrients, blah, blah, but we really want it to be the powerhouse of vegetables with enough fruit to make it palatable to you. If you've never done green smoothies in the past, it's probably going to start out kind of sweet, and as you get used to it, you'll actually cut the fruit on your own because you'll enjoy the flavor that you're making on your own. Right? Always put fat in there, avocado, olive oil, nut, whatever. If it's going to be your breakfast, it also has to have protein. If not, you're going to eat something else, and that's fine. It can be as it is.